Yes, we are city bound once again. Seems like we practically live here now, and I'll show you why. Last time we were here, we noticed people heading to this area, which is an outdoor music venue. And I looked it up just out of curiosity. It wasn't a band I'd heard of, but I noticed a band I have very much heard of is playing there tonight. That band is called Pulp. So Will and I are getting ready to head out. If you didn't know, music is very much my first love. I dreamt of having a career in the music industry, never worked out for me. Neither did becoming a spy. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So I'm very much looking forward to this. I can see the venues are filling up. The support act is about to start. I'm not so fussed about that, although it's some sort of Australian supergroup including members of Nick Cave's band. Anyway, so we're heading off now, so we'll catch a bit of the support acts, but mostly we're here for Pulp. I might try and get a bit of footage. It's a bit different than going to a classical music concert or an opera, but if not, I'll catch up with you at some point in the future. So he actually looked like he was pretty close. I'm not filming I'm filming you.
Fair enough.
Your face looks huge, actually.
This performance is an encore. An encore occurs because the audience wants more. So, make some noise. Let the show begin.
Anytime we started living, anytime we started living, where would I be now? Where would I be now if we never met? You gotta go home, 'cause you said I'd take you home. I wanna give you children, my queen and girlfriend, yeah.
Well, Pulp was absolutely amazing. I am so glad we went, and so is Will. However, as you can probably tell, it's back to reality. First task of the day is to crack open this compost bin and spread the compost around the acid-loving plants. This is one of our acid bins, which means it's got bracken added to it. This will be going around the rhododendron, the camellia and the azaleas. This one, as you can probably see, is fit to burst, so it's time to move on. And then I've got another couple of things that I'll show you that I'm up to. And then be able to put my feet up for the day. It's rather a misty morning, I don't know if you can tell. We are in autumn now, very, very early autumn, but hopefully the fog will clear and it'll make working this afternoon a little more enjoyable. Not that I don't like this, but I do plan to mow the lawns if I can. Not necessarily these lawns, but the house lawns, and it would be easier to do that if they were a little bit drier, but we'll see how we go. First things first, compost day. That's the compost spread about, and as you can see, My next project lies before me. We got home yesterday only to discover that the wallabies appear to have finally destroyed this peach tree. What the wallabies do, I don't know if you can see the evidence here, is when this was erect, they'd be pulling on the branches. So they'd be pulling on the branches, tugging in order to eat the leaves, which they're very fond of. But this tree was already pretty old and weak, and what they have eventually managed to do is pull it off. So I'm now going to just chop this up into more manageable chunks, which I will deposit near to the bonfire, but not on the bonfire, because we're nowhere near bonfire season yet. Hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, they'll decide to end the fire danger period before the 1st of May, which is the default setting, because, well, as you can see, I think the worst of the fire danger has now passed. However, I appreciate the need to be cautious. So I'm going to remove this, and I may chop off this offending limb, but I'll leave some standing stuff, because what Will and I are going to attempt to do at some point is we've got a device which is designed for removing fence posts and the like from the ground. We used it very effectively when we were taking down the old orchard perimeter fence. So even if we can't use it to lift the entire stump, there'll be a lot of roots under there. What we're hoping we can do is lift it up enough to cut it, release it, so that at least there won't be standing stump above ground level, which is very irritating from a mowing point of view. So it'll at least be underground, and then we can put soil on top of it and get rid of that. And then, of course, we have the exciting task of thinking about if and what we'd like to put there to replace it, but that's for down the line. What I'm going to do now is just chop this up into smaller pieces and take it away. There we go. We'll see what we can do with the stump. I was looking at it thinking if we could get up on the ladder. I also wouldn't mind taking out this branch. It's mostly dead, and what's dangling here is just some sort of mistletoe type plant, but as you can see, it's pretty close to the ground. I've never really liked it, but that's a little way up. We do have a ladder, I think, that we could go that far, but probably would be a little bit difficult to chainsaw that off, or maybe it would be possible to manually saw it. I'll speak to Will. That's not a one-person job, not at that sort of height, but it would just sort of help to clear that a bit. I can't deny part of me really just wants this whole tree taken down, and I've mentioned it before. It's a lovely big tree, but it is on a lean, and the way it's leaning is towards our bedroom. So every time there's a windy night, I do become very tense. Or if we go away, I never quite know what I'm going to come home to. Anyway, that's for down the line. I do also like to plant trees. I'm not all about removing them, and I wouldn't have removed this one if the wallabies hadn't have forced my hand. I thought I'd quickly show you this. This is my Bissell, my carpet sweeper, which I used to sweep the various rugs and things that I have in my house. I don't have a vacuum cleaner, I don't need one, but it has broken a few times in the past. So previously we had tried to weld the join together in the handle where it had come apart, and that lasted for a while, but that eventually failed. And yesterday Will made for me a wooden handle to replace the metal, which had, as I say, had failed. So he basically took an old curtain roll rod that we had, apparently drilled a big hole up it, rammed it onto the existing metal, and then put some sort of substance around it to sort of hold it in place. It is packed on quite tight, and it goes up apparently quite far. So fingers crossed. It'll be very difficult for me to pull that off. It is quite an aggressive action using a Bissell brush, so it does need to be quite sturdy. And then he fashioned a bit of a handle at the top here for me. As I may have said, we do have a bit of a make do and mend sort of attitude to things. When the fundamental apparatus still works, it would be a shame to throw it out and buy a new one. We very much think that too much stuff goes to landfill. Humans are disgusting and wasteful, and so this is our attempt to practice what we preach by making, doing and mending the lovely Bissell brush. As mentioned a while back, we have had a bit of rain, which has done a world of good for the lawns. They're now looking much more lively, but we are into early autumn, so mowing is really going to start slowing down. But I am going to give the wider lawns a going over. I hand mowed the formal lawns not that long ago, a couple of days ago. But it is probably starting to get to the stage where this may be able to stop relatively soon, which would be good. I'm already turning my mind though to going up and starting to process wood again. I am in fact going up tomorrow to start that process, to sort of get a bit of a backlog of felled trees before the current bay empties. So, as I mentioned last time this happened, one job is replaced by another, but lawns aren't looking too bad. Nice and green, a little bit of growth has been put on, so I'm just going to try and keep on top of it and gradually wind this project down. It's been a while since I've had one of these. This is a nice big one. Now that autumn's come along, even though we still have plenty warm weather ahead of us, it seems as if what I thought was the gap where the rodents were getting into the bathroom, in fact, either wasn't the gap or the way I plugged it was insufficient. Very, very handsome animal, this one. In excellent health. But I do not require it to live in my bathroom, so I'm going to go and drop it off at a location hopefully sufficiently far from the house to mean that it can't find its way back.